Hey everyone, how are you doing? And welcome to our Zoom call. Looking forward to going over some very interesting things with you all today. Quite a bit of information to cover. I'll get right to it. So let me share my desktop with you and we'll go from there. Let's see here. Okay, so um, we're just kind of getting started with a lot of these Zoom calls. So bear with me if there's any technical issues, if anyone's having problems joining a call, please be patient with me. Please use a link to email me for now. So there'll be a link for support on the membership platform. That'll shoot me a quick email. I'll be keeping track of those, before the call, during the call, in case anyone's having issues. And again, I'm here to support. I'm here to make things run smooth. Keep in mind, it's a very small staff right now. And so, we'll all do this together. So that's kind of the theme for L1 Incubator. So jumping right in, we're going to discuss primarily John Bedini's work because I have found that John Bedini's work and his free energy generator will be the quickest to replicate right off the bat. We've got a lot of data and information on his work and his research, specifically some that he collaborated with someone else called Tom Bearden. He's a hero of mine, never met him, but just from what I've read and listened so far of his work, he's a phenomenal person. And anyways, he's got some very interesting things he's put out as well. So that said, quick side note, I will be publishing 2 posts a week. This will be the weekly main one, Zoom call. We're going to be diving deep into very much actuating this, building a prototype of Bedini's. And then Wednesdays, I'm going to post other additional posts on other inventions we can be looking at down the road, as well as some documents that are maybe not necessarily related to free energy, but I found very interesting that I would also like everyone's feedback and input on. Again, so my role here is to organize and synthesize a lot of this information, help it easier to digest, right, for all of us, so that our goal here is to start working on prototypes, start, creating working devices that we can test, we can share with the community, and then open source the technology, share that with the world, just as you see John Bedini did, right? And then come up with real world products that we can put out into the marketplace with these technologies. And again, not filing patents, not trying to use a corporate model or not putting a corporate model first, I should say, right? But with the heart and soul of putting the technology out there. And so that said, here's a quick little write-up I did on John Bedini. He's someone that started in the 70s with his company, Bedini Electronics. And he did some work in 3D dimensional audio and sound processing. So the invention that he's most known for is this one here. You can see this is the Bedini SG, which is the most replicated free energy machine. As you can see early on in this model, let's see, he was using it to charge batteries. And so I'll put this on the blog post. I'm not going to read it for you. You guys can read for yourselves. But I will jump right into a video that I found pretty interesting, a really nice recap that was done by this particular channel on John Bedini.
John Bedini was an American inventor and electrical engineer known for his work in alternative energy and unconventional technologies. Born on November 29, 1949, in Aurora, Colorado, Bedini developed a passion for electronics and engineering from a young age. He was a self-taught inventor who possessed a keen interest in exploring uncharted territories and pushing the boundaries of conventional wisdom. Bedini's fascination with energy and its conversion led him to experiment with various inventions throughout his career. He became particularly renowned for his work on battery charging systems and electromagnetic devices. His innovative approaches often challenged established scientific principles and drew attention from both enthusiasts and skeptics. One of Bedini's most notable creations was the Bedini SG, simplified schoolgirl, motor, a device that showcased his unconventional approach to electromagnetic motors and battery charging. The Bedini SG motor gained popularity among alternative energy enthusiasts for its claimed ability to generate more energy than it consumed, potentially defying the laws of thermodynamics. However, the extraordinary claims surrounding the motor have been met with skepticism and remain controversial within the scientific community.
So I'll say that my understanding is there is no defying of the law of thermodynamics. What's happening here, and I'll show you guys in his literature shortly, is we're tapping into field energy, right? Vacuum field energy. That's what's happening using resonant waves. And he explains how he does it. So again, that isn't a definement of that law. It's the energy is there, where he's just figured a way to tap into it.
The Bedini battery charger operates on the principle of electromagnetic induction and utilizes pulsing electrical currents to charge and discharge the battery. It consists of a rotor and stator arrangement, where the rotor is a spinning magnet and the stator contains one or more coils of wire. The spinning magnet induces a current in the wire coils, which is then directed to the battery being charged. The unique aspect of the Bedini charger is its pulsing mechanism. Instead of providing a continuous, steady flow of current.
And the video doesn't really cover this, but the pulsing is critical. But however, the pulsing has to be done in a certain way. Here they're speculating as to why that works, but I'm gonna show you from his own words why it works the way it works. So the rest of this video is kind of not super informative. I will post a link. You guys can watch it on your own. Here, let me fast forward to here.
It's important to note that the claims made about the Bedini battery charger and its effectiveness have been met with skepticism from the mainstream scientific community. The scientific consensus is that the charger's claims are not supported by rigorous scientific evidence, and its principles are often considered as pseudoscience. There is a lack of published, peer-reviewed studies validating the extraordinary claims associated with technologies.
Let's see here.
In addition to his work on battery charging systems and motors, he also explored areas such as radiant energy, magnetic amplifiers, and solid-state generators. Bedini was passionate about sharing his knowledge and insights, and he conducted workshops and gave presentations to educate others about his inventions and theories. Bedini's work often attracted a loyal following of experimenters and researchers who were in.
So that's the gist of the video. I thought you guys would enjoy really kind of the recap at the beginning, and obviously the the contentiousness, right, with the claims in the general scientific community. Anyways, that said, let's move right into the data that we have that asserts that these devices are pulling energy from the vacuum. And again, it's not just this device, but dozens of other devices that we have details on. This one being, I believe, the simplest to replicate. So let's jump right in. This is a document that actually, that one's not it. Where is it? Let's see here. Oh, bear with me. I seem to have. Nope, that's not it. There we go. Okay. So this is John Bedini's book, written with Tom Bearden, called Free Energy Generation, Circuits and Schematics. So forward here is by Tom Bearden. Again, I'm not going to necessarily read this for you. This will be a link to the PDF will be posted on the blog post. Just a quick note, please do not download or share these PDFs with anyone outside of the membership. These are provided for you as members. Again, all of the information here we want to use for collaboration within the community, because the community wants to collaboratively develop this technology, not for each and every one of us to go on our own way using this information however we feel best serves us, right? That's not the intention of this incubator and this community. It's to be a very collaborative environment. I'm openly sharing this information with you guys because my heart's desire is to get this technology built, replicated, and then put into the marketplace and not get stuck in the way that everyone working on their own has been getting stuck. So this foreword is fantastic. I will highlight some really key areas that Bearden covers. It's a free energy motor. Essentially it's something that he plugs a battery to and just leaves it on, and it just continuously runs. So he starts it with a battery based on the timing of the what they do, which you saw in that video briefly, triggering the pulsing, right, of a charge, and based on how that resonates, right, there's a resonance that happens. That's where the system itself is tapping into the vacuum and able to not only charge the battery but keep the motor running. So that's what he covers here. It's certainly not a conventional wisdom of electrical physics. And let's see here. So I really like this quote. It's running off the fact that vacuum space-time itself is nothing but pure massless charge. That is, vacuum has a very high electrostatic scalar potential. It is greatly stressed. To usefully tap the enormous locked-in energy of that stress, all one has to do is crack it sharply and tap the vacuum oscillations that result. And the best way to do this is to hit something resonant that is embedded in the vacuum, then tap the resonant stress of the ring of the vacuum itself. This statement right here describes in the theory behind how this free energy device works. And so he goes into that more, into a little more detail here. So that's something embedded in the vacuum. You can tap off the resonance of the stress in the vacuum, and then you're able to use that I guess that oscillation or energy into movement. Translate that into movement, right? So into additional energy to produce some sort of movement in the system. And here he discusses again how this works and how they're able to get the particles to move and behave in the way they're behaving in this system. So first, let's see, he talks about we'll need a big accumulator to hold a lot of the charged ions in the system. Again, to all the engineers out there, I'm going to have schematics for you here in a minute. The ordinary battery filled with electrolyte fits the bill nicely for that. And then he talks about how, let's say, conventional electrostatic scalar potential is composed of work of energy per column of charged particle. So if we add potential without the mass, the system of oscillation particles, we add physical energy and the charged particles. In other words, the potential we add is converted directly into ordinary energy by the embedded ions in the system. And if we are clever, we don't have to furnish any pushing energy to move pure potential around. So the proof that this is possible is covered in Bearden's New Electrodynamics book, part 4, which I found a link to that. So again, moving on to, let's see, I have some notes over here. So let me see. So I like this page here. Let's see, yeah, in 18, where he talks about, let's see here. So and yeah, it's on page 18. He talks about shock oscillate ions in the battery at a frequency and time are trigger potential and siphon the current correctly. And so again, the Bearden's talking about how they're pulling that energy out of the vacuum. So your shock oscillate ions in the battery, and then he tells you the frequency. So okay. let's see. And then he talked, well, here's a frequency he discusses of the lead acid batteries have a resonant ionic frequency of 1 to 6 megahertz. Then he goes on to say, if we keep adding potential to trigger the system, we can get all that potential to translate into free electrical energy. And that's really the key parts that I really liked about Bearden's description of this document. So I find it really, I found this part right here as a dedication to Bedini. You know, so all of you experimenters and pioneers, now's your chance, have at it, build it, tinker with it, fiddle it into resonant operation. I think, my opinion, from what I've seen online and YouTube, this is where a lot of the folks out there, they're building a system with magnets that are spinning, that are doing some work, but I don't believe they're actually doing it properly. I believe to do a Bedini, to build this device, you have to be pretty experienced with electromagnetics, electrodynamics, and I'll cover that here in a minute. So I do believe there is some cleverness involved in how you're essentially, if you're a musician, you're having to get everything in the same pitch, right? The same resonance. If it's off pitch, if all the parts aren't communicating at the right frequency, it's not going to work like it's intended. So our intention here is to build this thing right, and using all this information we've got through the Cejka files and through other relevant or other information that sort of has, what's the word I'm looking for, but from all the data that I've gotten from that file, also through my contact and Greer's team, and through the research that I've done, there's been other relevant information I've been able to find, right, tangentially relevant information, like this book, for example. And so, okay, so moving on to Bedini's words, he talks about how he got started with the technology. And in page 22, he talks about, right here, he talks about Bearden's paper. So I would like to reference Tom Bearden's book. If you plan to build this machine, as a must, you get Bearden's paper. You'll find pages and he tells you what's happening. So found Bearden's publication online. And here is a schematic that he references right here on slide 40. So here's slide 40, simple free energy motor. And then this is Bearden's schematic. I'll also post this link on the post for you guys. Again, the intention of this post isn't to read everything for you, but to really highlight things and to sort of give you a general overview of everything so we can get the conversation going. Again, Bearden has collaborated with Bedini quite a bit. They both wrote this book, and it's just phenomenal work. So let me move my notes out of the way here. So anyways, all right, so if we skip down to page 25, this is where we kind of start getting into the meat of things. Let's see. So basically, we drive direct current motor with the pulse current from a battery, then utilize a special means to cause the battery to recharge itself. Okay, so first, the battery is connected to a simple flip-flop circuit, which in turn drives a simple amplifier circuit. Okay. And so this kind of gives you an idea of what he's doing there and how that system's working. It's really a phenomenal read. Again, I'm not going to read this all for you guys, but an easy way to look at it is to say the battery's 12 volts. To charge this battery, we need at least 2 volts over the battery voltage. So this, how much you need in order to charge a battery. And then here's a quick schematic. And so let's see here. Let's begin by stating certain facts: that ions move backward under charging conditions and reverse under discharging conditions. So now he starts talking about the science behind it and how he's able to manipulate the ions in order to charge the battery. So suppose we construct a machine that has tricked this battery into different space-time relationships. Simply put, suppose the battery never did any work and it should have with full charge left in it. Suppose this becomes possible because we have stressed the terminals in such a way that the ions in the battery electrolyte actually move themselves backward. Okay, so this right here is where he starts pretty much explaining what's happening, with the theory and this system. So now comes a heavy part of this theory. What they didn't teach you in textbooks is that in order for the battery to charge, two oscillatory actions must occur: the positive and negative at the positive and negative terminals. Under different stress levels, this then forces the ions backward. So again, this is where it starts certainly getting above my head, and where we need to really have the dynamicists and everyone out there in the audience kind of pitching in here. I'm going to start working on building one of these and having some folks work with me, and I'll be documenting that, and having everyone in the community, collaborate and pitch in. So our machine will slingshot ions in the battery electrolyte backwards beyond a normal recoil action. And so this right here, I believe, is how the free energy, how the machine is able to quote unquote get free energy, right? So it's able to run and perpetually operate. So this is where he talks again about the importance of being experienced at doing this. There is a very real danger of the battery exploding if it's tapped, right? It's tapped with a sharp voltage spike that's beyond the capacity of the battery to resonate. So that's something that, again, I'm not going to get into until I know what the heck's going on and how to do this properly. And it's something that Bearden also mentions sternly in big red all caps, right? The preceding experiments are hazardous. Do not attempt these under any circumstances unless you're an experienced electrical researcher. So again, to reiterate this, not just for myself, but for everyone out there that isn't experienced with these systems, please be careful. Again, this is, in my opinion, why some folks out there that are trying to build these units and are maybe somewhat not really impressed. It's because they're not perhaps as experienced or put enough time into this to get it to do what it needs to do. And here I'll cover what Bedini says that these things need to do. So for people who like to tinker and like electronics, these are the circuits that I have used in my lab to examine this concept. Okay, the circuit contains a very simple free-running multi-vibrator circuit, which is used to gate the operation. Okay, so then he talks about what he's using here and the different, I don't know if these are transistors or capacitors. Oh yeah, transistors. Okay, so page 28, he talks about let's see here. Okay. So here's a schematic of what he's described. And these are essentially the waveforms you're looking for. So the tuning of the circuit is very important, and that the pulsar circuit must be out of phase with the controller circuit. So you'll probably need an oscilloscope, and he tells you where to put it. And he says these are the waveforms you're looking for. So again, this, I believe, is very important. None of the videos I saw online even go over this stuff. They sort of built something just from a traditional sort of model or perspective, and whatever they're getting is by accident, I believe, if it is over Unity. Let's see. So we see that something very unconventional is taking place. The motor is very conventional. as far as pulse wave goes, but the energizer is doing something very unusual. The waveforms from the energizer are telling us a new story. If we take the scope and expand this, waveforms out further, around 50 hertz, the waveforms look completely different. As we look at figure 5, the story becomes clear. The battery is really charging itself. So once you get this to happen is when we start talking about having a free energy system. And he explains to you how that's happening. So he mentions in here that the battery, motor, and energizer will become resonant once the battery, the motor, and energizer are all at the same frequency. So the oscillatory action has taken place by the energizer has just pulsed our slingshot back and immediately let go. So once you have those three systems, battery, motor, and energizer becoming resonant, is when you have the system operating off of the vacuum, so off of the field, and able to charge the battery and able to perform work outside of a conventional model. So the time of the stimulating pulse is very important. So here goes. The time of the stimulating pulse is very important. If the time is too long, the battery will burn itself out. If it's too short, the circuit will fail. So here he talks about the energizer. And then more schematics and more details on that component. The controller, this was very interesting to me. This is what's timing the pulses. So I found what he did to be pretty interesting. He talks about using 3 brushes. So if you hook up the components as shown and tinker with the unit until you get a stimulated resonance coupled system, you have a free running motor that powers itself and performs useful external work. Let's test this out, guys. And gals, let's figure this out. Let's see how we can put this together, how we can test it. Let's if we run into problems or questions, let's help ourselves, let's help each other answer those questions. Let's stop chasing around other people to do the work, or expect other people to do the work and us to benefit from that. Hopefully someday, eventually, that kind of thinking hasn't really resulted in anything. That's why this stuff comes out. There's a lot of geniuses out there that come out with stuff that just disappears. And based on what Dr. Greer has shared in his experience, 30 years of doing this, it's mostly been inventors that are trying to monetize this using a traditional corporate model, or at least prioritizing that model over getting this tech out there in a shareware type of approach. So think of the internet. The internet was developed freely. The internet and how the internet works was shared freely. None of us have to pay a search charge to the internet gods. The internet's just the internet, right? And how it was built is just how it was built. And then we have a provider, right, with servers that we use to access the networks. But the thing itself was developed by universities and the military, as I understand it. I'm sure there might be comments about taxes and things and getting in the way of that eventually, but the whole idea of these devices and this technology is that we are each energy independent. We can each tap into the vacuum independently using this technology, and there is no centralized control. So So not to get into politics, but here's some construction notes that he talks about what you're going to need. It's phenomenal. I frankly, I'm going to become a hobbyist, and hopefully, with the help of some of you, we'll be able to start testing one of these out within the next 30 days. So I look forward to your comments, questions, and answers, and I look forward to having this conversation continue to move forward. That said, I wanted to jump ahead a little bit on some of Bedini's work, because it didn't just begin and end here. He actually put this out, especially in the notes that I've got, into other areas, specifically to do with an energy device for space flight. And so, yeah, in '84, we're not talking about a man that did something and didn't go anywhere, and his theories and his technologies were useless. And we have someone here that not only didn't just stop at creating a motor, a free energy motor, or motor that could tap into the field, but we have someone now that literally put out a paper, right? This paper right here, a feasibility study on how to get this technology into space flight. So just phenomenal. There was a budget for it, timelines, just super interesting. And you know as much as I do as far as who this went to and how far it got. I just wanted to show you that not only did he have the technology, but he had a study done in order to have the technology and the plans implemented for space flight, for space applications. And I found this super interesting. Another one I wanted to share with you is, let's see here. Got this guy already. Where is it? These are, I wanted to just to add this real quick. We got the circuits. So and these are let's see here. So these were written to John Bedini in '84 by a Ronald Brandt on using 4 batteries. So circuit drawing for 4 batteries. To me, it just sounds like it's a device that could create more energy. Who knows? Maybe we could come up with a device that will charge your phone on your desk, and share that through a Kickstarter. And then how about we make it a little bigger and have a device that's charging your Tesla battery when you're sleeping, and it just sits in the trunk of your car, and you can take it with you anywhere. Let's just, these things could not be that hard. I mean, I know we all want to think, oh, this is impossible. Well, let's just take it from the realm of impossibility to the realm of possibility. So let's replicate. And then from there, let's start seeing what simple, quick products, applications can we come up with that we can quickly start sharing with folks. And we're not going to file patents. We're just going to develop the products. And the incubator will become a major investor in the company that makes the products. And you will all have the opportunity to do the same, to become investors in the company that creates the products. Absolutely. And that will go to the marketplace and make a lot of sales and all that good stuff, right? But the heart, right, the consciousness of this isn't me, mine anymore. The consciousness of this is, let's get this done. Let's get it out there, and and make this thing happen in a real, tangible way. So let's see here. I think I've got one more, but so bear with me, guys. I don't want to leave y'all hanging. I did want to show you, now that we sort of went over this aspect about Bedini's, um, you know, desire to sort of bring this technology for applications in space. Um, that means that, well, let me just stop there because I could go on another rabbit hole here. But um, this right here is an organization recently established, by one of the co-founders is um, Nassim Haramein, which you all may be familiar with. So he's done some amazing work. I think he's moved to Europe now. He was out of Southern California, actually near me, or I'm based out of San Diego. But here he's talking about, and this is just coming out from his research, right? Here he's talking about this organization being humanity's first organization based on development of gravity control as propulsion and quantum vacuum energy. This may very well be the case, right? This may be the first organization based on that, but it's certainly not the first one to come up with these concepts, right? And as I'll show you all in coming posts, gravity control and its propulsion is is nothing new. And hopefully whatever work that this organization does continues to be made public and available. We'll see, guys. We'll see. So he talks about origins of mass. He's talking about a lot of interesting things here. And they've done a lot of work. There's the team. I'll include this link in the post as well. So yeah, it's certainly a legit organization doing some research here. And they're certainly touching on a lot of the points that have been covered over the last 50 to 60 years in the research I've done with the documentation that we have. So again, from what I'm seeing, none of this is new in terms of the technology, but I love how they're putting things together. So definitely, I think a group to keep an eye on. So let's see here. That said, I'm looking forward to any feedback, comments, questions. I know that we're just getting the ball rolling. I know the membership isn't anything huge right now. Obviously we can't move forward without your donations, without the funding, as Tom Bearden, made, obvious during his career that another reason why a lot of this stuff isn't happening is because there's no funding to back it. There's no support, for this stuff. And so when there isn't any funding or support, well, guess what? Scientists aren't going to go that way because they're just like you and me. They got families and they got to pay the bills. And so we're going to start coming up with, with goals for L1 to hit certain benchmarks in terms of funding, so we can keep doing this, and we can not only talk about building devices, but actually do it and actually put this technology out there. And it's not possible without your help. So I'm truly relying on everyone here to help us share and spread the word, and bring people on board, the right people on board that, have the same desire to have this not only developed and made available, but shared with the world. So that said, I'll leave you for now. Look forward to staying in contact, and God bless everyone.